Hey, diddle, diddle, the cat, the fiddle, the cow jumped over the moon.
Coming to you live from the Future Lounge studio, it's Late Night Live with Not Donald Trump. Tonight, we welcome Brandon Neal from ProtocolX, plus some degenerate gamblers, and a whole bunch of crazy apes. Featuring Jean Baptiste and Stay Human. Please allow me to introduce myself. Tony!
Thank you. Your wonderful audience. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you. Okay, stop clapping.
Good evening, ladies and degens, and welcome to another very special episode of Late Night Live with Not Donald Trump, where I have the honor and privilege of hosting tonight's show from the lavishly luxurious Future Lounge studio. I'm, of course, your host, Not Donald Trump, as well as just a regular businessman and degenerate investor. Our guests tonight are Brandon Neal from ProtocolX. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us here tonight in the Future Lounge studio. It's a pleasure to meet you. How are you both on this lovely evening?
Hey, man, thanks for hosting us. This is Neil. Very, very well here. How are you guys doing?
We are doing excellent, thank you. We're so happy to have you both with us. Now, before we start, I just want to give a quick briefing how this is going to work. We'll have an open floor after my questions are done, at which point we'll be answering community questions posted in the text chat. Community questions via voice chat will not be acknowledged. If you have a question, please post it in the text chat and tag me at JonaldTronDump once we've opened the floor for questions. To keep things organized and to ensure that questions don't get lost in general conversation, please wait until either myself or the admins have announced that the floor is open before posting your questions. In the interest of time, please ensure that you're limiting questions to one question per post. And just a reminder to those of you listening that absolutely none of us here are financial advisors, and you should always do your own research. So, now that we got all that out of the way, Brandon Neal, ready to begin?
Ready when you are.
Yeah, let's
Excellent. So to start us off here, before we talk about the project itself, let's get to know a bit more about you. Who the hell are you, and why should these degens trust you and your team with their hard-earned beans?
Hey, so my name is Neil. I'm Shivlord on the socials. I'm the founder and CEO of ProtocolX. I've been involved in cryptocurrency as an investor for about 4 years now. Got my first community manager job in the DeFi world back in January, and I've been helping that protocol grow. They've gotten to be pretty large at this point, but we have extensive knowledge and ability here in the DeFi industry already, and experience amongst all of us here. So I am fully doxed. I am KYC'd by Assure, and my entire team is also fully doxed. And Bran, I'll throw it over to you.
Yeah, hello. So my name is Brandon, also known as Brandon. Some of you may know me. I'm a community manager and a moderator in a lot of DeFi projects. I've been in the DeFi space for just over 2 years now. Started my journey degenerating into projects just like you lovely people, and worked my way up. I've been a community manager for multiple projects, a moderator for multiple projects, and proudly the community manager of ProtocolX.
Excellent. So, one thing I'm wondering as well is there anybody else on the ProtocolX team besides the two of you?
Yes, so our team consists of 7 people. We are all doxed. So I'll go from the top and work my way down to the bottom. So starting from the top, we have Shiblord, also known as Neil. We then have myself, also known as Bran. We have our Discord administrator exec, does everything admin. We have the lovely CK, also known as Cruelty, or Jack is his real name. We have Adam on the team, who's one of our lead moderators and advisors. We have Sally on our team, who is one of our lead moderators and advisors. We also have Saturday, who is one of our main security developers on that side. And then we also
sorry to jump in. I see Cruelty is also with a K. I believe he's in the chat. Would you like me to let him speak? Perfect. Hello, Cruelty. Welcome.
And then we also have our close development team. A big situation we found in the DeFi space is developers being anonymous, developers being rogue devs. So we closely work with a British and American-based development team, who we are actually going to be speaking about a lot more in a couple of days in one of our announcements on a long-term working relationship with them. But everyone in our team is doxed. We're all either doxed to nil or doxed publicly. On our website, you can see all of our beautiful faces. And as I said, all 7 of us know each other. We've known each other for a long time. We've worked together for a very long time as well.
So you got plenty of experience with each other, so to speak.
Yeah, so to speak. I did also forget one person. We have Wox. Wox is our amazing graphics guy. Down to the website design, all of the social media posts you see, everything. Absolute GOAT has been powering through the graphics work. So big shout out to him. I'm sorry about that, Wox. I completely forgot.
Excellent. Now, I see that there's a gentleman in the chat named Azekage who is raising their hand. Are they part of your team as well, or are they just some random person stretching their arm?
Stretching arms.
No idea.
Excellent. Thank clarification. So that being said, how did you all come together and cross paths and then come up with the idea for ProtocolX?
Yeah, so I'll start out here. So myself, I've worked with Brand as well as several other of the people that are on this team, just with different DeFi projects, generally as an investor. So I ran into them several months back. We've kind of started working together from different perspectives in DeFi, and then we've grown not just professionally, but as friends. So I could genuinely say all these people that we have up here on the team, I'm very, very comfortable with all of them, personally as well as on the business side. I started working with Wox even before that, with some other graphic stuff with the protocol I was community manager on. And then Sally, I known him in person for 7 years, I think now. So we have a lot of very good personal and professional connections as we've navigated these waters until we've all decided to come together and put our collective minds and hopefully build something that can take us to another level here in DeFi.
Awesome. Well, I'm definitely interested to hear more about it. And that being said, let's now turn our attention to the project itself. What is ProtocolX and what makes it worth investing in?
Yeah, so I'll introduce this here. So ProtocolX is primarily a rebase protocol on the Binance Smart Chain. So we are on BSC primarily. We're going to launch with a token that's PTX. It's a PTX is the token there. And that'll be a rebasing token in general. So from there's a massive ecosystem behind the rest of what we have going on there. We're going to have a fully functional, our own actual, not just a skinned over DEX that'll be live on when we go live on the 15th. So 1 week from today. So we're gonna have this rebase token. We're gonna have a DEX. The DEX has a token called XSwap. Obviously, on this DEX there will be staking and farms, and there'll be a lottery system incorporated with that as well. And in addition to that, we're also gonna have NFTs that'll be coming out in probably 3 to 4 weeks from launch. They're a revenue share NFT system that'll take a piece of the buy and sales tax that are associated with that rebase token and funnel it back to the community as a revenue share model. So that is the first kind of layer of the ecosystem there. Then we have a ton working behind the scenes that I'm sure we'll go into more in depth over time. So I don't really want to get too ahead of myself on that front.
Totally understandable. Definitely sounds like you got some interesting plans for this project. Now, that being said, for those who are listening and who are not familiar with the rebase system and how rebase works, are you able to provide us a bit of a rundown on how ProtocolX makes use of the rebase functionality?
Yeah, so I'll go into that a little bit for you. And I'll actually go into a little bit further of why we're so different to the generic rebase protocol. So if you're new to the rebase protocol scene and you've never invested in one before, what it is, it's auto-compounded in your wallet. So each protocol has a different set, amount. So you'll have some that will have a 2% a day, some that will have a 1% a day, some that will have a 2.5% a day. Our one initially starts out at 1.77% a day. So every 30 minutes, your wallet will accrue tokens. So that will be divided by 48 times in a day, every 30 minutes. So once that token is building up in your wallet, it works out about 1.77% a day compounded. Now, the difference between our token and a generic rebase token is that we work on an SEM model. Now, what is an SEM model? So the SEM model is that every single month, every 30 days, the actual daily APR decreases by 10%. So on the first month, it'll be 1.77%. And on the second month, it'll be 1.59%. And then you continue taking away 10% every month until you get to 0.5%. Now, the good thing about that is is by the end of the year, you're not stuck with an absurd 400, 600, 700, 900% APY, where the tokens have now 9,000x.
Runaway
Not
minting,
that case.
basically.
Exactly, not that case at all. So with some of the models that we're introducing, with SEM being one of them, by the end of the year, you're looking at around 69%, 69K
Nice.
percent, which, you know, is still a lot, but hear me out.
Hey, you
So-
still have me at 69%. Well enough.
No, 69,000%. Yeah, almost had you there, almost. Now, the reason why we're not worried about that figure, and I'll tell you why. With summary-based protocols, after a month 4 or 5, there becomes an issue with emissions. Now, you'll know the charts end up looking like a falling knife. Now, one of the things we have to change that, is one, we'll be introducing our own developed LMS system, so a liquidity management system. We were going to partner with another protocol. However, we spoke to our very, very good development team and said, hey, we might as well design our own, create a rising floor product. So that is going to be the aim of our LMS system, to create a rising floor product. So not only can you earn your daily percent, that's sort of what we're looking at. We don't want you to be worrying about, oh my God, the token's moon 10x, now it's going to completely fall to the floor. That's not what we want. We want that sustainability factor. Not only are we going to have that, we're also going to be looking at introducing other types of bots. Now, I'll go into bots a little bit later on another question, but one bot I'll touch on before I stop rambling. We're looking to introduce something called an auto treasury system. Now, what that is you may be aware, it happens in every project. The protocol has hundreds and thousands, if not millions of dollars worth of the base product, and eventually has to sell it down. Now, what we're looking to introduce is an automatic line of code within the contract that if a buy over a set amount of time, say $10,000 hits in, then 1 or 2%, we're still working out the finer details to make sure it works perfectly, will sell instantly from the treasury. Now, what that does and it enables us to do is have a constant source of funds to grow the project without having to dump on investors. Now, that just brings me back in full circle to the full thing about sustainability. Everything we do is aimed at sustainability.
Interesting. So, with that being the case, so what are some of the features that you were looking to implement here?
Right. So I'll talk about one of our main ones. So we recently got a partnership with Ego. If you've not heard of Ego, they are a very great bunch of people. They specialize in trading bots and algo bots. So not only will we be looking at other outside sources of revenue, one of our main ones will be a heavy investment into Ego's trading bot. Now, over the last few months, Ego have been averaging between a 20 and 80% ROI on their trading bot. So not only will we be investing a large chunk of treasury into that and pre-sale funds, our main goal really, if I'm honest with you, is to make sure that we have enough sustainability outside of the protocol. Now, I think that's a massive thing people overlook is, where is this money coming from? Because eventually the funds get depleted. If you've been involved in a project and you start seeing that treasury come down, eventually they've got no money left. Marketing isn't getting paid for. Nothing's going on. So what Ego will do is provide us with our first initial external revenue source from day one. Now, that's great for us because from day one, we're already going to be generating income. And that's one thing we're going to be doing with our treasury. If you've had a little read of our white paper, we will be taking risk, obviously risk adverse. We will be taking investments to our treasury, and we'll be letting the community know completely fluent on projects that we believe have potential. And obviously it won't be an investment as such that, you know, you're putting too much money in, that is scary, you know, the project's not going to survive. Everything works percent ratio due to risk. So Ego is one of our main guys. Shout out to Ego. I'm super looking forward to that. And I believe last month their algo trading bot averaged around a 32% for the month. So if you think about exactly, so if you're thinking about, if you put in, for example, $500,000 and you talk about 32%, you're looking at almost 100,000 plus a month. Now, you'll obviously have the bad days and good days, but what we can do with that is use that for marketing, use that to pay the team, because, you know, development teams need paying, marketing needs paying, fund the burn, and so much more with it. So we're super excited to use that mechanism.
Excellent. Now, before we continue on, you did mention your white paper. Now, I did notice at the moment that I wasn't able to locate a website for this project. So where can people go at the moment if they wish to read your white paper?
The website is now live. So luckily we
Oh,
got the
just
website
one live now.
live. Yes.
And what is the URL for that?
I'll drop a link in chat right now. Give me 1 minute.
Perfect. Because I'd love to crack that open myself and take a look at it.
No problem. So if no one has already, I'll drop that in the chat now. Bam, bam. There we go. Yeah, RA beat me to it. So that's the website. You can see our white paper on there. A lot of information on there. We've got a lot of infographics coming. If you're happy for me to drop some in the chat as well for people to have a little look at.
Absolutely, please. Any supplemental materials that you'd like to present to the community during this AMA, you are more than welcome to post in the chat.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'll get that dropped down there. If you've got any more questions, continue and I'll get some stuff posted in the chat for you.
Certainly. So I believe we're on the topic of the trading bots you were talking about. You just mentioned Evo with the 32%. Was it monthly or annually? Sorry.
Yeah, so I'll go into that a
was
little
monthly.
bit. So yeah, Ego.
Right.
That was a trading bot.
Right. So what are some of the other... You mentioned that there were multiple bots that are being developed in relation to this project. So what are some of the other bot features that this project can look forward to?
Yes, I'll go into this one a little bit. So it's not that there are multiple bots, but we just have multiple variables of different kind of revenue streams that we are working on already. So we do have that trading bot from Ego, and like Brand already went into, it's a very successful. It's a custom trading bot, so it's not like the KuCoin standardized one. So we're able to kind of adapt and develop and grow it over time, which is pretty nice. We also have other just revenue generating protocols that we are investing in from the pre-sale fund. So one of the biggest issues that I've seen in DeFi projects is they accumulate this whole treasury early on, and then we don't know what they do with it from there, right? So either they go to use it to create a deflationary aspect in 4 to 6 months when it's too late, or who knows. From day one, we start by investing in things that are going to generate the protocol money. So I've already identified various partners that we've officially partnered with. Other sources, I've looked heavily into Freeway. I've had a couple meetings with them. So there'll probably be some sort of an investment into Freeway as well as a little bit of a lower risk adaptation there. We've developed our own custom, we are inactive, I should say, developing our own custom liquidity management system that'll allow us to create like a rising floor price over time. That obviously trades within the LP itself to create just a more sustainable token. So we have all these different elements working together. They generate revenue. This trading bot from Ego is going to be a huge, huge aspect of the buybacks and burns that we're going to implement. And by that 1 year period of time, as we kind of mentioned, the APR decreases once per month for 12 months until it finally settles at 0.5% daily APR. Before that point, I want us to be able to generate enough revenue from the outside revenue sources to buy back and burn to the point that we can create basically a net surplus buyback to burned compared to mints. So then it can allow us to have a lot of control on the inflationary to deflationary aspects, maybe allow it to get diluted, maybe allow us to pull some back to really help the token price indefinitely at that point.
Interesting. Now, on the topic of the liquidity management system, the side topic of sustainable price floor, one big thing that I know with rebase tokens is they are heavily dependent on trading volume and market cap in order to sustain their value. In the event that we hit another slump in the crypto market and the volume starts to slow down, while this rebase mechanism in ProtocolX continues to operate, how will the protocol ensure that the value of the token is maintained in the event that incoming volume potentially slows down or even dries up?
I'll talk about this one a little bit. So at ProtocolX, one of our big things that we've been focused on is our business model. Now, our business model is not public yet. However, we've touched base on it a few times. Now, there's a couple of reasons why our business model is not public. One, due to sensitivity of it. And two, we're looking at speaking to VCs and other large blockchains to launch said business model with. Now, one of the major things that we focus on at ProtocolX is marketing. Between us, we will have a lot of years of marketing within the crypto space. Between us, we know how expensive it is, and we also know how to better management that money. Now, to put it in perspective, we are looking at more in real life marketing and partnerships. Now, one thing that we're looking to do is space out our protocol's growth and releases to a point where it's sustainable. Now, if we do that, I believe over the next couple of months into the future, with our marketing plan that we have aligned in the background, with our planning, and with all the things that we have lined up, even prior to, the launch, with crypto, it's an ever-growing business. Every single day, new things are coming up for us. We're pushing new things. And as I said, we're looking at more of a in real life marketing strategy. We're looking at attending summits, attending expos, networking in real life, speaking to big protocols. We've got another large announcement coming today with one of our largest partners. We're currently in talks with another 7 or 8 projects, some of them massive. We're looking at ever growing. Now, the reason why we're not launching our DEX initially as our main source of liquidity is a couple of reasons, and I'll tell you why. One of the big mistakes people make in the crypto sort of game, so to say, is they'll go completely head first into saying, we're launching our DEX, this is ours, we're going to be the next big thing in DeFi. We all know that doesn't happen. Instead, what we're going to be doing is using our exchange as a secondary market. We know it's not the biggest in DeFi, and if we do try and go, hey, we're the big king, all we're doing is stumping our growth. We know that for a fact. So what we'll have is our exchange as a secondary DEX. We can't announce our main DEX yet, as we're currently still discussing, but that may be a big announcement coming soon, or you know what, it will happen later down the line, especially closer to launch. But we know not locking our liquidity into such a small DEX will stump our growth. So what we'll be using is the algo bots that Ego provide, as well as MDB. MDB, one of our partners, make DeFi better. And what we will be doing is using a R bot to make the price an even level on both. So where we can grow the DEX at a slow pace with meaningful context. One of our announcements tonight will make sense as to why we're taking the DEX so slow and so serious. But I'd look out for that announcement in our Discord. That'll be happening tonight. I'll let Neil take that one. But yeah, we're looking at growing the DEX sustainable. And that's one thing I think people make a mistake in the DeFi space, is going head first, saying we're the big next exchange. They have that initial hype. Then they end up getting $10,000 a day, all sales on the DEX. No one cares about the DEX because the hype has gone. So our plan is to build this DEX slowly, take our time, and make meaningful partnerships along the way.
Excellent. It definitely sounds like the right approach to take with it. And like you said, with literally every project, almost every second project that comes into the DeFi space, they're trying to be the next big thing, the next main ecosystem, or the next main, like you said, DEX, or the next go-to place for everyone to be in crypto. But the problem is, with so many of them, it's like it dilutes the market so much that people are just going to fall back onto things, like Pancake Swap and whatnot, the kind of the tried and true versus everything else that's out there. So the fact that you're being realistic about this approach, and that you are you're putting your like, obviously you're developing, you're putting effort in your DEX to make it a thing, but the fact that you're being more humble and realistic about it, that we know all users are gonna most likely use, say, this main thing, but our DEX is still here for people to access if you'd like alternative and better rates, things like that. I do have to give you I do definitely have to give you much respect for that approach, just in terms of the way that you're.
I appreciate that, yeah, because that's a big thing in DeFi, and I'll be completely honest with you. People come in, they try to be, the big boy. This is the next big exchange, but it doesn't happen. Things don't happen overnight. You can't just launch a token and it be the next hot thing. Unless you garner a massive amount of hype, unless you launch something like ShibSwap that is all based purely off unorganic hype, you're not going to be the next big thing overnight. So that's why I said our plan is to garner meaningful partnerships, meaningful listings, grow the DEX, use the arbitrage bots to have another source of income for the protocol while that builds. Let that run, slowly in the background, let it grow, and then unleash the beast sort of thing. Because if we put all of our liquidity straight into our own DEX, let's be real, between me and you, if we were to, I'd say this to anyone, the first 2, 3, 4 days, we probably will pump to the moon because everyone will be like, oh my God, the next big DEX. But after 4 or 5 days, who's actually going to care? Now, that's me being realistic. The only people that will care are the solid investors, the people that actually believe in us. But no one's going to go, hey, did you hear about XSwap? Then they're not going to do that. So building the meaningful partnerships is how we're going to get that. And that's the route we're looking to take. Start off as a secondary market, build it to our initial market, and then grow from there.
Absolutely. And actually on that topic as well, this does harken back my memory of another project, another DEX project that was about almost a year ago by now. Jesus, the time flies in DeFi space for sure. But they were taking the exact approach that you were literally saying that you don't want to do, which was they were trying to be, the next big DEX, and they wanted to have all these projects launching on their DEX. They even, when they launched their own token, they provided their liquidity for their token strictly through their DEX. And like you said, there was huge hype around it for the first week or so. Price literally shot up like what was it? I think like 25 or something times on launch. Yeah, it was literally 25x on launch, 27x I think to be exact. But then from there, it just as people started to sell off, the price just slowly bled out. But on top of that, they had a like a minting staking, solo staking. Essentially, what happened was they 25x on launch, and then it just bled out the rest of it, and their minting mechanism kind of ran away on them. So their token price absolutely tanked to basically worth only like 25 cents when it was on launch price $1. And like you said, the only people that really stuck on through the long term were the diehard believers, and everyone else kind of after the token price crashed, everyone else just kind of left. And so, like you said,
one problem with a project, and you'll notice it, that once something like that happens, a 25x, unfortunately, all you're left with is the people who bought the top and the diehard believers. Everything else dies out, hype dies out. So that's what we don't want to do. We don't want to launch this DEX and go, we're going to be the next big thing. Okay, we garner a bunch of hype. But all that's going to happen is the investors are going to suffer. What we want to do is we want to build an actual product. We want to have that sustainable-ish. We know it's completely still, a big amount. But what we want to do is get that time, because the time in a DeFi project is so important. If we can schedule the next 4, 5, 6 months to a T, have our backup plans, grow the DEX slowly, then who knows what happens in 6 months. But trying to come in all guns blazing is never going to end well. But no, I appreciate the back and forth on that one. That was a good question.
Absolutely. So one thing I'd like to touch on as well, just looking at your website, I don't believe we've really touched on this. The ProtocolX NFT, the X share. What is the function of this NFT, and how can it benefit the users and holders that are participating in the ProtocolX ecosystem?
Yes, I'll go into depth here. So this is one aspect that I absolutely love that we're introducing to not just our protocol, but just to DeFi in general. So over the last 12 to 18 months, there's been a lot of this whole moon culture, right? So we want to get in that token early. We want to 10 to 100 times, and then we want to move on. But
absolutely, the buy now, cry later crowd.
Correct. Yeah, it doesn't really work that way, though, for better or worse, generally speaking. So what we've designed here is an NFT that allows some of the revenue that comes into the protocol to go back to those who own the NFTs. So this NFT revenue share system, this X shares, will take a portion of the buy and sales tax that is being accumulated from the time that we launch. It's 2% of the buy tax and 2% of the sale tax. And it's putting all this into a fund, just to another wallet, really. So these NFTs are not going to go live for a few weeks, after the initial protocol goes live. But from day one, this wallet's going to be accumulating money. It's going to be accumulating BUSD that we're going to distribute at the time. So we're going to have a 20,000 max allocation for those NFTs. And as we grow and kind of diversify our revenue systems, our NFT revenue share will expand accordingly. So it'll start out in the buy and sales tax. We'll incorporate it with the DEX. We'll incorporate it with some aspects of this trading bot, and then we'll incorporate it into things that are not announced that will be announced in the future, so that it is truly a way of passive income. It's not going to be tremendously expensive to obtain these NFTs. I haven't set an official price yet, but in my mind, I'm thinking 0.5 to 1 BNB. So, a couple $100 probably is what they're looking at there. And then at that point, this is going to be a system feeding back into the wallet holders indefinitely. These will not be able to be traded on OpenSea, at least until we hit our hard cap of the NFTs. So there will be a closed NFT contract there that you can transfer between accounts, but not sell it on the public domains. And that'll allow us to really drive home that passive income in DeFi that has really interested me and is kind of what helped me develop some of these other aspects of the protocol in general.
Definitely a good way to put it, and I really appreciate the breakdown on that. So one thing that I'm getting, I guess I'm just wondering. Actually, no, I'll break this down a little bit further, because one thing that's really interesting me about the ProtocolX is that there's a major emphasis, and as there should be, there is a strong emphasis on the long-term sustainability and reasonably paced growth of investors. Not necessarily assets, the right word, but the possibly revenue. Sorry, trying to think of the right word, but
I know exactly
is it returns? Now, obviously, that being said, the X in ProtocolX isn't necessary to say like, oh, you're gonna get crazy tons of X's by investing in ProtocolX. It's long-term sustainable returns and growth. But then, I'm just curious, what does the X in ProtocolX therefore represent?
So when I first originally came up with the name ProtocolX, one thing that we've always wanted to do is be cross-chain. So the X is actually sort of a metaphor in sense of cross-chain. So in the future,
Gotcha.
we'll be looking at making our platforms cross-chain, and obviously in the future our business model will be completely cross-chain. So it will completely make sense in the future.
Well, that already makes sense now. I got to say, the fact that you just explained that.
Yeah.
Perfect. So one thing I'm wondering as well, just in terms of the security of the project, I know that before, at the beginning of the program, you mentioned that everyone is doxxed. What are some other measures that you're taking to ensure the security of investors' assets and to ensure the legitimacy of the project? Are, for example, the contracts associated with the project, are they all audited, or will they be?
Yes, that's a great question. So, like you mentioned, the entire team is doxxed. I am doxxed and KYC'd as the CEO and founder. So the couple different things that we're doing to implement even a higher level of security there is one of these upcoming partnership announcements that should be done today will kind of go into a little bit more on how we're going to evaluate that security aspect of everyone that's associating with our project. But there will be contract audits done in a very timely fashion. So obviously the projects are not live yet, they're not deployed. There's going to be certain contracts that are going to change in order to feed into that revenue share NFT system. So we're not going to be able to do a full audit over every single contract in that first week, because there's going to be so many changes in 3 to 4 weeks on some aspects of it. And then we just have to get it redone if anybody in here is too aware of the contract audit game. But we can do audits on the XSwap, on the exchange, and on any other thing that is not going to change significantly early on. Even the token contract, I don't mind doing that twice, even though there will be a migration in a sense in a few weeks to kind of upgrade everything on that end as well. So there will be contracts done. We have pretty good connections with both of the top 2 audit and KYC companies out there in the space currently. So there will be a lot done on that aspect of it. One additional thing that I'm doing is I'm totally tired of the excuse of a rogue dev rugging the protocol, which I don't believe that. Maybe it happens sometimes, but I think they all kind of get together. This is the way out. We're going to.
Oh, it was obviously planned from the very beginning, right?
Yeah, so that's nonsense. So what I've done here is, even though we have a great developmental team that's building all the contracts and building everything is going to be solely and totally in my name. And the reason I do that is I'm the one KYC'd. I am the one
Mhm.
docs to everybody. It is my project. So if things go south and the audits are completed and everything else is completed, there's only one person to blame, and that's to me. And I'm already KYC'd by Assure. So that is already, and I live in Texas, by the way. So I'm not in some random country that's going to go hot out in the mountains. I'm here in the United States in Texas. So
Mhm.
we're taking a variety of different aspects of security, not just for the reassurance of the community, but for the reassurance of our project, because I plan on working on this for decades as we start developing some of these more very, very real world business models that will come from this in the future. So we need this to survive. We need this to not get compromised. And we're here to make sure that happens.
Excellent. Now, mentioning that you're in Texas and in the States, I know that the United States isn't exactly the most friendly when it comes to cryptocurrency-based projects. How has the experience been for you managing the legal and the financial system in the United States in regards to operating ProtocolX out of there?
Yeah, so another absolutely fantastic question. I'm very glad you just got into that because I got some documents yesterday. So I actually have two different LLCs. I have one LLC for myself personally. That one's based out of Puerto Rico. And then I just opened up a second LLC out of Wisconsin. So why Puerto Rico and Wisconsin? They're much more lenient with the trading aspect of cryptocurrency trades. So everything else is still relevant. Everything else still matters. I've ran business in the real world, so I do understand basically how to get contractors paid legally and how to keep the legal standing of the project as a business perspective. So with this, the LLC that I just started up now, every single bit of revenue share system, especially the trading bot, is going to be functioning under that LLC. So that'll then go into a business bank account or a business wallet. Obviously, you can associate a MetaMask wallet on a business side or business PayPal or whatever. And then from there, that'll be distributed accordingly. So I'm not getting paid from the trading bot, for example, at any point. Any bit of money that comes in is going to go through the LLC, and any salary or payments or invoices paid or any of that is all tracked. I have a business Excel sheet. It looks like we might be bigger than I originally predicted, to be perfectly honest, with some of these announcements that are coming up. So
The
I'll probably need
protocol,
a QuickBooks
so to
here.
speak.
Yeah, no, the
It's
difference
growing,
between
man.
last week, honestly, being completely honest, the difference between last week and this week, the contacts we've been speaking, and I'm not even saying that to hype anyone up, it has been blown out of the water. If I'm honest, that we've got people reaching out, we've got teams reaching out. Oh, we've heard about you, and it's like, wow, okay, this is growing faster than we expected. So, no, I definitely agree with Neil there. Some of the, let's just say, the partnership tonight will reassure a lot of people about our stance in the community. I know Neil's in charge of that partnership. I don't have really much of a say in that, so I don't know what time that's coming. But yeah, that will be one of our big announcements for tonight. And that will reassure a lot of people about our place in this, so to say, rodeo of DeFi. But yeah, we're looking forward to it. But yeah, no, definitely the LLC. Looking forward. I've myself set up recently an LLC so we can run personal one, so we can run all the invoices correctly and stuff as well. But yeah, we are looking at, and it's good to have someone, especially like Neil, with that business background who knows how to do it properly, rather than a team that has no idea how the actual business side works and just thinks, hey, you can just pay $50,000 for this without worrying about tax, and then the company gets shut down and everyone loses their money. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing to have.
Oh, exactly. I absolutely agree with that. Now, just looking at your website here, one of the things I'm noticing in your roadmap is something called the XSwap lottery system. Now, I haven't really touched on any lottery aspect of this project, so are you able to provide a bit more detail about the XSwap lottery?
Yeah, so I'll go in a little bit here. So this whole lottery, this whole X keys and this lottery system that we developed, it kind of gets me excited as well because it adds into those sustainability variables that we've talked about before and kind of feeds into that greater ecosystem. Again, for everyone who's in here that's listening to voice, I do apologize. There are a lot of moving parts, everything that we're doing here. But the lotteries are cool. So you take your PTX token, which is the rebase token, right? And you exchange this for an X key. This X keys are going to go, the theme is the same with the doors, which are the NFTs. So it kind of all feeds into each other there. There'll be an aspect of the X keys of the NFTs as well. But on the most basic aspect, you're exchanging the rebasing token for these X keys. But smart contract will immediately send it to that main dead wallet, not just some random wallet that we've created, the actual dead wallet, that 0x000 thing. And then from there, you will get keys back. These keys are going to be what you use to engage in the lottery. They'll be what you use to upgrade your NFTs over time, as well as whatever else we can imagine and facilitate over the months and years. So
potentially the keys to a new car.
Yeah, it's the keys to a new car and a new burn system. So
excellent. Sorry, cut you off. Were you still talking more about that?
No, I think that kind of got it. Basically, they're a way for me to facilitate a burn mechanism for that rebasing token, but also make it engaging and productive for the people.
I like that. That's definitely creative, and again, great way to go with that approach. So that being said, that is actually all the questions that I have myself before we move into the question from the studio audience. So that being said, if you have any questions that you'd like to ask for the ProtocolX team, you're welcome to go ahead and toss them into the text chat now. Now, we're going to wait a little bit for the questions to get loaded in here, wait for them to get sorted. But I guess while we wait on that, one more question that I can throw at you in the meantime is that decentralized finance is still a relatively foreign concept to the majority of mainstream consumers. How will this project, ProtocolX, help introduce more mainstream investors to the DeFi space?
Yeah, so that goes exactly to one of my main points is a lot of DeFi, we all know it's very, very lucrative. Marketing is a very expensive aspect of DeFi. If you don't know and you're not well versed in marketing within DeFi, you could pay $50,000 to $100,000 for one YouTube video. Now, one thing we're looking to do is use them marketing funds sustainable and make them sustainable, and use them in real life. So what that means is talking to the average investor, telling them where it is, actually explaining it to them. Instead of already targeting people who know about DeFi, why not go to an expo where you're going to have the average civilian there going, hey, this looks cool, they're hosting this, let's go there. Let's teach them actually about what ProtocolX is looking to do. One of our big main points this year is we want to attend a lot of expos. We want to attend a lot of, anything to do with crypto. We want to be there, wherever it is in the world. And that's exactly what we want to do. We want to actually put our brand out there, talk to real people, speak to real investors, speak to regular people who have no idea about crypto, what we're actually looking to do. And I think some of our partnerships in the future will give us access to that. Super looking forward to it. But yeah, one thing I just want to make point is a lot of times, and that's why we're very honest in AMAs, a lot of investors get pulled into the hype. And that's when we go back to the buying a 25x chart and then comes down to earth. And that does kill off a lot of investors' hope. I've been there. Every single person, I guarantee, in this AMA has bought a token. It's pumped. You thought you've made a bunch of money and it's fell down to earth, lost everything, gone, hey, I'm quitting crypto. One thing we want to, tell people and let people know is, hey, not all crypto has to be like that. You can invest in projects. You can invest in actual teams and you can actually make money in crypto. Now, I'm not saying we can guarantee to make you money, but what I can guarantee people is that we will stick to our promises. We will grow ProtocolX and we will actually do what we're saying we're going to do.
Excellent. I'm definitely looking forward to that and appreciate the breakdown on that. So we're going to jump into the text chat with our first question from Celestine. Now, the first half of the question discusses NFTs. However, this project is not exactly... While the project does feature an NFT component, it's not necessarily heavily NFT focused. So...
I'll answer that simply. I know which question you're on about. We're not really looking at our NFT projects or comparing. The aspect we're integrating is actually very, very unique. Like using a rebase model to purchase X keys to then upgrade your revenue share model has never been done before. And then the second part of the question, how is the Treasury funded? So that goes back to where we will be using risk-averse investments to, build that treasury. Instead of just leaving the money stagnant, we'll be investing in protocols we partner with, investing in, investment opportunities and growing that that treasury so it's not just stagnant. So yeah, I'll answer it for them. But yeah, we don't compare ourselves really to any other NFT projects because if I'm honest, I don't think I've ever seen an NFT project that is powered by a rebase protocol. So I think we're quite unique on that aspect.
Perfect. Thank you much for the clarification on that. Thank you, Celestine, for your question. Now, Next question comes from Kelvin K. I don't believe this one might actually be relevant either. It's about Bigfoot nodes.
Yeah, I can answer a little bit of that because it's a little confusing there.
Were nodes mentioned on the website? I might have just not been seeing it.
No, so pretty much there was a split of founders with the Bigfoot organization back about a month to a month and a half ago. So
so this is preceding the ProtocolX itself then.
Correct, yeah. So what we're doing there, because I was involved in that team, is we are airdropping XSwap tokens as well as NFTs to everybody there. So I don't know what the exact question is on the Bigfoot side, but if they would have that question, I'm just going to ask that they come into the Discord and answer it there because that's very specific. It's a small group of people, a couple hundred people at most.
Gotcha. Appreciate the clarification on that. But Kelvin, thank you anyway for your question. Let's see. Patrick's question was already answered. Basically, the long-term holding incentive is, for the rebase compounding and the, and of course the, the sustainability aspects of the project itself, which was answered previously in the AMA. Maximoff asks, do you plan to incorporate rarities and NFTs?
Yeah, so it's not necessarily rarities. So it's not an NFT collection like Bored Ape Yacht Club where you mint this NFT and it has X amount of traits and they're different rarities. But we will have 3 tiers of the NFTs. So we have the base tier, and there'll be 2 upgradable NFTs from there. So with that, you do exchange PTX. That PTX is burned. You get your upgraded NFT. That just gives you a little bit of a higher percentage of that group of that revenue share distribution. So those will be released over time. Initially, I think I'm just going to release the base tier, let that one kind of do its thing, and then release the upgraded tiers over time. So they're not necessarily rarities, but there will be 3 separate tiers.
Gotcha. Appreciate clarification on that, and thank you, Maxon, for your question. Next question comes from Snake Eyes, who asks, the website states that the resolved IDEAR or the Assure DeFi investigative intelligence report with blockchain forensic experts and assisting the community in pursuing appropriate legal action. How long does this process take to complete the things above? And what about a project built in a country without strong laws? Can it be processed?
So that is a question in reference to the KYC Assure business there. So I cannot go into how Assure does their business, but I do know that it's much harder to find people who are KYC'd in maybe a developing country than the U.S. U.S. laws are very, very clear. And if there was the case with, Coinbase recently where there was just insider trading. They will pursue charges if it's justifiable to do so in the U.S. And I'm U.S. based. Most of my team is U.S., U.K., and Canada. Actually, all my team is U.S., U.K., and Canada. So we're all in pretty well-known countries.
Thank you for that, and yes, I guess that question was directed more towards Assure itself as opposed to the project. So next question, we're going to go to Nirvana, who asks, after looking at the website, I see that ProtocolX will start as a rebase protocol before developing into a revenue-sharing NFT protocol that connects all elements of the ecosystem. How long does it take for ProtocolX to become an NFT protocol, and why should you wait for the rebase before developing the NFT protocol?
So I'll answer that one. That's not the case. So ProtocolX will always be a rebase token. So ProtocolX will be on a sustainable emissions model, so that every month, every 30 days, it will decrease by 10% from 1.77% a day all the way to 0.5% a day. The revenue share model is built in to PTX in a sense. So every single buy and sell, 2% of every transaction goes to a wallet from day one. Even though the model hasn't been released yet, that wallet will not be touched. Once the X shares go live, after a set amount has sold, that will be distributed instantly to holders. So even if the X shares don't launch for another 4 weeks, even from day one, that hot wallet for X shares will be building because every 2% from a transaction goes there. So not only will external revenue sources feed X shares, the actual PTS token itself will. So if you're, say, a avid holder of PTX, we're in about 4 or 5 weeks down the line, you can then purchase and become sort of, in a sense, a shareholder where you earn a percentage of everything that PTX does, and we're proving that by doing it straight off the bat. So not many people will go, hey, we're going to release a revenue share model, you're going to have to wait for the DEX. No. As soon as the token starts trading, 2% of all transactions go straight to a hot wallet and are getting ready and built for X shares. Now, X shares is going to be really, really good because it's included in our future business models. X shares, the reason what I'll actually do is in the chat, I'll drop a little example of what an X share looks like. Now, this isn't obviously confirmed, but what X share is a AI generated model. So all of the X shares will be created by AI. They're not developed by any actual team or person. All of it is code based by text. So every single, you'll never be able to ever replicate these sort of images. So what I'll do now is drop one. So this is sort of what a legendary X share will look like. Now there's meaning behind it. So that door symbolizes a door. So we were originally going to do chests. However, we thought, hey, a door, it leads to a new path. So having X shares, the reason why we do a door is because it opens to opportunities. Opening to opportunities means not only will you have parts of revenue from the company, we can also expand off that. If you open that door, maybe there's a feature in the future where you can unlock that door with a key, or you can use a separate key to unlock that door, or we can introduce that door into gamification. So it's a never-ending aspect. So X shares will always be something that is an integral part, but it's completely different to actual PTX, although it's still funded by PTX.
Very interesting. For one, I was looking at the image of the door, and either of you play Magic the Gathering by chance?
No, I can't say I do.
No, not that.
Fair enough.
Someone just said that would be a cool wallpaper if it was HD, which kind of insulted me because that image is in 8K.
Oh, of course, but Telegram always likes to, compress everything.
Yeah, I think it has.
Hell, it's definitely compressed. I can say that, but I mean, hell, if you wanted to offer the full res of that as a wallpaper, I mean, I'm definitely not complaining. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think
one thing that would be a nice addition to that is if you put the X logo maybe on the door itself.
Yeah, so we can look into that. We're still building into it. If you look here, there's a slight one on the door. Now, this is another example of an X share. This would be a different tier. This would be a different sort of scenery. But the reason why
nice.
We're using this, no, you can say this isn't the exact one. We've got variations. So these aren't the official one. These are just AI generated examples. The reason why we're using doors is because of that vastness. You can do so much with a door. You can have the keys to open a door. You can expand your model through that door. So all the door has a meaning. The same way that X in ProtocolX has a meaning. Everything we do has a meaning for it. Sustainability and longevity is really important. Now, you could just do a cool card that says X shares on it. But in the future, say like we wanted to introduce gamification into our thing, how are we gonna integrate a card into a game? Now, with that one image, you've already set scenery. In the first one, you've already got heaven and hell. In the second one, you've got a garden angels for the gold. So you can set into different sort of aspects. You can grow on it, and I think that's a very, very important part of a project, having open doors at all angles to be able to grow.
An open door policy, so to speak.
No, exactly, 100%. Because, like I said, if you put a card, we could easily just put a card there and say this is an X share. But in the future, if we decide we want to do something more with that X share, that design is going to have to change anyways. So all we're doing is thinking ahead and planning ahead.
Excellent. Sorry, one sec here.
I'm having a look at the questions like you, and I think we've kind of touched on all of them, to be fair.
So I will just touch one last question before we go to closing statements here. This is actually just point of clarification in terms of the Telegram group in regards to. Oh, where did I lose it? Here. Abraham just wants clarification in quote unquote, in your Telegram group, somebody said that there will be no Telegram group chat, but just a Telegram channel. Can you please confirm or deny this so we don't make the mistake of joining a scam Telegram group by mistake?
So we are looking to be primarily based by Discord. The reason being is because I do have a love for Telegram, but it is extremely difficult in regards to security. We will be having an announcement channel. The announcement channel will have all. If you don't like Discord, I completely understand. However, what we don't want, and it's for two reasons, and hopefully people understand. One, we don't want to separate the community. I think it's very, very important. If you're willing to invest in a project and you either have to go to Discord or Telegram, it shouldn't be an off point for you. If you think a project is good enough to invest, then the chat you're in shouldn't. The same way we've come here today. We don't mind Telegram, but it's more, we don't want to separate our community more than anything. There's a lot of scams on Telegram. Every day there's groups that crop up with fake groups. Someone gets scammed. In Discord, it's a lot easier on our personal beliefs to manage and be safe and keep everyone together. But yeah, we'll have an announcement channel only. There won't be a chat channel in this. We will be specifically on Discord, but we will also do partnered AMAs like this as such and reach out to other communities so you guys can still get some updates.
Excellent. Appreciate the clarification on that. And thank you for your response, and thank you, Ibrahim, for your question. That being said, unfortunately, that is all the time that we have for questions from the Future Lounge community. But if you did not have the opportunity to get your question asked during tonight's AMA, you're welcome to pop over. Sorry, no, we have a link to the ProtocolX community, but since you just mentioned, would you rather have people go over to your Discord channel to ask questions there then?
Yes, for sure. That's where our active community is. I mean, just today alone, we've had over 500 real people join. So if you guys are interested, please come. We've got actually, it's funny you asked that. We've had we have 4 AMAs today. We actually have an AMA with one of our partners today from MDB. He'll be joining us in our Discord, so you can learn more about that partnership as well. So that will be at 8 o'clock UTC. So yeah, definitely, if you've got more questions or you think of something, you can come over there, join our Discord, and then we can answer them for you there as well.
Perfect. And that is over at discord.gg/ProtocolX. If you have any further questions, please feel free to pop over to the Discord channel. You can answer them in there. The mod team, dev team, we'll be happy to answer any further questions you have at that time. So before we close out tonight's AMA, Neil and Brand, do you have any closing statements they'd like to make to the Future Lounge community?
Yeah, so I'll just say, hey, thank you guys for hosting us here on this AMA. Again, our Discord is a place to get more information, the website, everything else there. Read over the white paper. We enjoy talking with the community here, and we look forward to getting this thing live. Pre-sale is on Wednesday. We didn't go over that. So Wednesday, August 10th, pre-sale opens up. It'll be hosted on our website through our own smart contracts. So 1700 UTC on the 10th for the pre-sale.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Brand, do you have anything you'd like to say as well?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you and just touch base on that. There isn't really a minimum on the buys. I think the minimum is 0.01 BNB. So even if you only want to get involved with a small amount, you're more than welcome. The maximum wallets are $15,000 or I think it's 45 BNB. I'll have to double check. We are looking to raise, I believe it's 3,650 BNB, but we are launching either way. So whatever we raise, we will launch on the 15th, which is our launch day. So there won't be a cancelled pre-sale. It won't be anything like that. We will be launching and we will be going full steam ahead. So I just want to say thank you from everyone here. We've got 2 more AMAs tonight. We look forward to speaking to everyone. And like I said, if you've got any more questions, jump in our Discord. We'd be happy to help you all.
Excellent. Thank you very much again to Brandon and Neil from ProtocolX for joining us here tonight in the Future Lounge studio. It was a pleasure having you, and we wish you all the best for your project.
Take care, everyone. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Give it up once again for Brandon and Neil from ProtocolX. So, now that you're here for the team, it's time for you to decide. Are you bullish on this project? Or are you bearish? Will you ape in? Or will you jeet out? And with that, that brings us to the end of another episode of Late Night Live with Not Donald Trump. Thank you again to the Future Lounge for the opportunity to have us in your studio tonight, and thank you all for tuning in with us. Have a good night, and we'll see you all next time. A reminder to help control the G population. Stay in order. Your friends and family.